Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of the Youth Sunday Experience online. Uh, Again, it's a bummer we can't meet together, but I'm glad we have this way of connecting, this way of talking, and at the end of this, I am hoping to have some dialogue happening. So be watching for that. But I'm going to get started by doing a quick intro of kind of what I talked about last week and what this series is going to be. So I explained that it's a series called Resisting the Enemy, and each Sunday I'm going to be talking about different ways the enemy tries to attack us and how by turning to God and by last week I talked about his presence, by recognizing how God is with us and strengthening us, we can resist the enemy. So I'm going to read for you a verse or a couple verses out of James chapter 4 that talk about, that really kind of sum up what this series is about. It says, "So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world." I'm going to come back to the end of that in just a minute, but I want to start out talking about lion tamers. So it's probably something we maybe haven't seen. We haven't seen a lion tamer in real life, but I enjoy seeing and hearing about them, learning about them. And as I was doing a little bit of research this week on lion tamers, I came across this interesting tactic that they use that I think is a great metaphor for us. So this tactic that they use, it was very popular, has been very popular for a long time. Basically, the lion tamer, when he goes out on stage to perform with this wild animal across from him, he takes three things: a whip, in order to get the lion's attention; a gun in case things go south really fast; and a chair. And if you're like me, you hear a chair. Why would they take a chair on stage with them? How is that going to help to defend from a lion? Stick with me. So this chair, they would hold it out. They would point the legs at the lion, and this lion, it's not used to defend themselves, but it's more used to distract the lion, because the lion is trying to focus on all four legs of this chair at the same time, and in doing that kind of becomes temporarily paralyzed, is kind of stunned because it can't focus on all four legs at the same time. Its attention is divided. And this is us so many times. This is how the enemy is attacking us. Because when we are focused on God and when we are eliminating those distractions, we are like this lion. We are as powerful as a lion because God is with us. We are focused on God and he is strengthening us. But when we allow our attention to be divided, we allow our attention to be distracted by this seemingly meaningless chair. In our life, it's not going to be a chair. It might be sports or video games, social media, friends, all good things. But when our attention is distracted from God, we become tame. We become weaker because the enemy is winning in those situations. So, in that distraction, in this idea of being distracted and being susceptible to the temptations of the enemy, that's where I want to pick up scripture, and we're going to be reading out of Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11. It says, "Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted there by the devil. For 40 days and 40 nights he fasted and became very hungry. During that time the devil came and said to him, 'If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread.' But Jesus told him, 'No. The scriptures say, people do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God.' Then the devil took him to the holy city, Jerusalem, to the highest point of the temple, and said, 'If you are the Son of God, jump off. For the scriptures say, he will order his angels to protect you, and they will hold you up with their hands, so you won't even hurt your foot on a stone.' Jesus responded, "The scriptures also say you must not test the Lord your God." Next the devil took him to the peak of a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. "I will give it all to you," he said, "if you will kneel down and worship me." "Get out of here, Satan," Jesus told him, "for the scriptures say you must worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil went away, and angels came and took care of Jesus. So Jesus is fasting in this time. He is intentionally going to spend time with God and removing all other distractions, including food, in his life, so that he can be practicing the presence, like we talked about last week, practicing the presence of God. And during this time, he is not eating. His physical body is weakened, and for those of you who have maybe done the 30-hour famine with us or have done some kind of fasting, whether on purpose or not, have been without food for a long time, your body is weak, but also that causes your mind to be distracted. It can cause other weaknesses in your life outside of just your physical body. And this is when the enemy comes to attack Jesus. He comes to attack him when he is distracted, maybe, or when he is more susceptible to be distracted. And that's when the enemy comes to attack Jesus. But instead of Jesus giving in, instead of Jesus being distracted by these things that maybe seem good, this bread, this power, Jesus is not distracted. He keeps his attention on God. He keeps his focus on God, and he turns back to Scripture. He is strong in that situation because he remains focused on the one who strengthens, God. So, going back to James chapter 4, at the very end of that it says, "For your loyalty is divided between God and the world." And I think so often that is unfortunately the case. Our loyalties, our attention, our focus is hung up on the things of this world, which are not bad in and of themselves, can be used in such good ways. Technology is such a good thing. Social media is such a good thing. Friends are such a good thing. Whatever it may be, those are all good things. But if they are causing us to be distracted from God, if we are letting those things distract us from our walk with God, that's when they become sinful. That's when they become distractions. The enemy is using those. He is attacking us with these good things. He's using these good things for bad. Last week I talked about the presence of God and practicing that presence. And if that is our goal, if our goal is to remain focused, our attention on God fully, Satan's goal, it's not even to turn that attention towards him. He doesn't care about that. He cares that we turn our attention from God, that our focus on God is lost. So this week, that resisting the enemy this week, resist him by focusing on God. When we focus on God and have our attention on him alone, even if we are doing those other things, as long as our focus, our mindset is on God, that's when we are successful. That's when God helps us to resist the enemy. So my question for you this week that I want a real response to is this: what are the good things in your life that distract you from Christ? What are the good things that keep you from focusing all your attention on God? Those things that are causing you to live, what does James say? To be divided between God and the world. Those things of the world that is dividing our attention, distracting us, that is causing us, like the lion, to be tamed. So I want a real response here. I want you to send me a text, message me on Facebook or Instagram, send me a smoke signal. However you can get in contact with me, I want to hear from you. What are those good things in your life that distract you from Christ? Talk to you soon.